I know how it feel to wake up fucked up. Pockets broke as hell, another rock to sell. People look at you like you's the user, selling drugs to all the losers, mad Buddha abuser. But they don't know about your stress-filled day. Baby on the way, mad bills to pay. That's why you drink Tanqueray, so you can reminisce and wish you wasn't living so devilish. Shit, I remember I was just like you, smoking blunts with my crew, flipping over 62s. Cause GED wasn't B.I.G. I had to get B.A.D. That's why my mom hate me. She was forced to kick me out, no doubt. Then I figured out, Knicks went for 20s down south. Packed up my tools for my raw power move. Block 19 for casket and flower moves. But Trump's trying to stop my flow, and what they don't know will show on the autopsy. Went to see Poppy to cop me a brick. Asked for such a siren, he wasn't trying to hear it. Smoking mad Newports cause I'm doing court for an assault that I caught in Bridgeport, New York. Catch me if you can like the gingerbread man. You better have your gat in hand, cause man, the master plan, I'm in the caravan on my way to Maryland with my man Two Tex to take over this project. They call him Two Tex, he told Two Tex. And when he start the bus, he like to ask who's next. I got my honey on the Amtrak with the crack in the crack of her ass. 2 pounds of hash in the stash. I wait for her to make some quick cash. I told her she could be lieutenant, bitch got gas. At last, I'm literally lounging black, sitting back counting double-digit thousand stacks. Had to re-up, see what's up with my peeps. Told her the dealer gone and had it cheap on the Jeep. See who got smoked, what rumors were spread. Last I heard I was dead with 6 to the head. Then I got the phone call, it couldn't hit me harder. We got infiltrated, like Nino at the Carter. Heard Tech got murdered in the town I never heard about. Some bitch named Alberta over nickel-plated burners. And my bitch, swear to God she won't snitch. I told her when she hit the bricks I make the hooker rich. Conspiracy, she'll be home in 3. Until then I looks out for the whole family. A true G, that's me, blowing like a bubble in the everyday struggle.
Hey everybody, this is Geno Boost, and you're listening to another episode of the SUBCON Video Game Hip Hop Podcast. The track you just heard to open the show was brand new music from Too Mello. You know we can't go long on this show without busting out some more Too Mello. And as luck would have it, he suddenly dropped the Planet Rock EP on us like a meteor out of nowhere. So the track you just heard is called A Dream from the Struggle, which puts Notorious B.I.G. up against the beats of Final Fantasy VII. As far as I'm aware, that's the first time Too Mello has mashed up any Biggie Smalls, and it made me realize that Biggie Smalls, real name Christopher Wallace, also has the same last name as Barrett Wallace from Final Fantasy VII. Whoa! And both of them also have firstborn daughters. So that's very interesting. I haven't yet done more research. I haven't started, putting push pins on a map and going down the rabbit hole looking for coincidences between Final Fantasy VII and the life of Notorious B.I.G. Anyway, grab the Planet Rock EP, it's great. Too Mello's great, but we'll get more into Too Mello in the future. What should the next special episode be? I've been racking my brain, but when I rack my own brain, I always end up digging deep and wanting to do something wonderfully niche and incredibly inaccessible. How about Katamari Damacy special? I mean, we all love Katamari, but you're not going to pull any big numbers. I feel like I need something real big time, like a Mega Man or a Zelda, to just really plaster it all over the internet. because with Season 2 now, I really want to put this podcast out there. So I want like this huge banging special, have tons of Mega Man I'm sitting on, quite a few Zelda I'm sitting on, Earthbound. I have enough for a Mother 1, 2, and 3 episode, but that would get a little heavy. Anyway, let me know which huge, very successful franchise needs an episode of the SUBCON podcast. Heck, even newer titles like Portal. There's plenty of Portal remixes. Call of Duty, I've seen a couple. Splatoon for the Wii U, that game is ready to have a remix. I've seen so many Splatoon remixes plastered everywhere. I wouldn't even know where to start already. I'm leaning towards maybe a Zelda, perhaps a Street Fighter 2. I'm sure that as soon as I run across 2 great tracks in a row from the same series, that's probably gonna be what moves it up the ranks and gets it into a future episode. But what other themes in games can I do? I mean, I'm only one person and I only have my own taste to go by, so I might be overlooking some really obvious games that totally deserve a shout out in a full episode. Who knows what the future has in store? Now join me as we take another trip to the video game based lyrics corner. This week I wanted to highlight a line from a track we're going to play called Steiner's Still Tippin'. This is by Utaga. Pretty sure that's how you say it. If you look in the show notes, you can see how it's spelled. So this was definitely my favorite track off of Final Fantasy IX. What makes it so great is that the macho thug braggadocio of the song really feels a lot like Zidane Tribal from Final Fantasy IX. I can imagine him talking all this shit straight to Steiner's face, rapping over Steiner's own theme to tell Steiner what kind of crazy, wildin' out thug, thief, play actor Zidane is. So basically all the lyrics in the song kind of have that attitude about them. So this is kind of like taking Steiner's theme and flipping it into Zidane's theme with the rhymes from Slim Thug and Mike Jones. The one line I really wanted to highlight is simply blowing on that endo, GameCube Nintendo. In the context of this game, I can't help but imagine it means that Zidane is getting high and playing the rival system, the GameCube instead of the PlayStation. And the fact that the GameCube wasn't out when Final Fantasy IX came out just makes Zidane even more badass and hardcore, playing rival systems before they even out yet. That's my theory. And anything I could do to cast a light on Zidane and how awesome of a character he is, I'm all about that. So with that, take a listen to this song by Utago. This is Steiner's Still Tippin'. Music from Final Fantasy VII, mashed up with Slim Thug and Mike Jones.
That 6'6" low bitch, little nigga sticking your chick, pulling tricks, looking slick at all times when I'm flipping, bar sipping, car dipping, Redwood brain gripping, still tipping on, still tipping on, spoke bumping, so homies and no package, blowing on that endo, GameCube Nintendo, 5% tint, so you can't see up in my window. These niggas don't understand me, cause I'm boss hog on candy. Top down at Lexus with a big Glock not handy. Pieced up, creased up, stand dressed to impress. Big balls, Bill Bugger under my Michelin S. Oh, Gucci shades up on my braids when I escalade. When I'm riding spree wheel sliding like a escapade. I got it made, the big boss of the north. Ain't shit changed, Still tipping on, still tipping on, still rapping, slow rapping, slow bumping, slow hopping, and no package, and no package, slow tipping on, still tipping on, still rapping, slow rapping, slow bumping, slow hopping, and no package, and no package, slow tipping on, still tipping on, still rapping, slow rapping, slow bumping, slow hopping, and no package, and no package, slow tipping on, still tipping on, still rapping, slow rapping, slow bumping, slow hopping, and no package, and no package.
Fofos, I'm tipping. Wood grain, I'm gripping. Give me lines, switch with the paint dripping. Turn your neck and your dang missing. Me and Slim, we ain't tripping. I'm figure flipping and syrup sipping. Like do or die, I'm pole pipping. Car stop, rims keep spinning. I'm flipping, drop with invisible tops. Hoes bottom with my drop, step bottom. Second the block with 418. Candy green with 11 speed. My gasoline, always supreme. Got dirt on the ground with a pan of lean. It takes grinding to be a king. It takes grinding to be a king. First round, drop pieces coming. Who is Mike Jones coming? Slab shining with the grilling woman. Slab shining with the grilling woman. I'm Mike Jones, the one and only. You can't clone me. Got a lot of haters and a lot of homies. Some friends and some phonies. Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me. Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me. Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me. Back then, hoes didn't want me. Now I'm hot hoes all on me.
Still tipping on, still tipping on, still rapping, slow rapping, slow bumping, slow hopping, and no package, and no package, slow tipping on, still tipping on, still rapping, slow rapping, slow bumping, slow hopping, and no package, and no package, slow tipping on, still tipping on, still rapping, slow rapping, slow bumping, slow hopping, and no package, and no package, slow tipping on, still tipping on, still
Welcome back. That second track you heard was called Mallory King, Bombed Banquet, and that was by Voodoo Lion from an album I ran across on Bandcamp called Episode 1, An 8-Bit Childhood. And I imagine that means Voodoo Lion will be releasing an Episode 2 16-bit tween years, 32-bit teenage life. I can only hope. This short album is absolutely sick. I had to highlight it. Usually I don't play instrumentals. I usually save that sort of thing for later on in the season. but I just couldn't help it because as soon as I heard this album on Bandcamp, I had to play something from it. And this track, which uses a sample from Castlevania 2, I just can't say no to Castlevania remixes. I know this is Simon's Quest, which is an absolutely fantastic soundtrack, don't get me wrong, but nothing compares to the Castlevania soundtrack. The original NES Castlevania soundtrack, every single song is perfect. I mean, all the other Castlevania soundtracks are really good. There's a lot of great songs, a lot of memorable classics, but 99% of a great song is not 100% great song, and the gap between 99% and 100% can be the most profound sometimes. So no matter how great a song is, for the future of the Castlevania series, it's never going to be as great as the tracks that were included on the original Castlevania game. I will argue that over and over again, even though it's a subjective opinion, and arguing would be pointless and unnecessary. But think about it, Castlevania, best soundtrack ever in video games? Yes. You know it's true. Anyway, Voodoo Lion Rolls, not only does he have Castlevania beats on his album, he's got some very stellar Super Metroid jams on there. Of course, he has to include the whole triumvirate and toss in some Zelda and Super Mario also. You could grab his album on Bandcamp right now. So, recently I've gone back to play Super Mario Bros. DX since it finally came out for the 3DS as a virtual console title a couple months ago. I didn't realize that, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe is the best video game remake ever made. Hear me out. Number one, it's portable. They took the entire game and they shrunk it down and made it fit in your pocket. Better graphics, although the better graphics were only in cutscenes and drawings and pictures you could print out on your Game Boy printer. Now, I didn't list the Game Boy printer as a plus for best remake ever, but the Game Boy printer is pretty rad, especially at the time, because I had never printed a thing in my life at the time the Game Boy printer came out. So better graphics, maybe. It could be argued that they're better in places. Now this is a big kicker. As we all know in this internet era of ours, Super Mario Bros. The Lost Levels, the incredibly difficult Super Mario game most people in the United States played as part of Super Mario All-Stars, that was the real Super Mario Bros. 2 in Japan, and that game is included in full on Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. So you're basically getting Super Mario Bros. 1 and 2 in your remake of Super Mario Bros. 1. When does that happen? It's like if someone said they were remaking God of War 1, or they were remaking, Ocarina of Time, and then they're just like, oh hey, here's Majora's Mask also, which is completely possible if you think about it, but that's another story for another time. Or it's like, hey, since we remade God of War 1, we remade God of War 2, also 2. But that's what they did in the remake for Super Mario Bros. Deluxe. Now the best part of the game was the challenge mode. Basically, once you beat Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, like basically you defeat story mode, and it unlocks challenge mode. In challenge mode, there's 3 challenges per every single level in Super Mario Bros. You have to find 5 red coins, which is very reminiscent of collecting red coins in Super Mario 64. You also had to find 1 very well hidden Yoshi egg in every level. And the funnest part of the challenge mode is trying to beat the given high score for every single level. So basically you're trying to find the best, most fruitful run through a stage, the best combination of speed, coin collecting, and block breaking that can catapult you into the high score table. And if you're really good at that whole fireworks thing where you land on a 3, a 6, or a 9, this is absolutely your game, because if you can land 9s on any level, you're pretty much breaking the high score, no problem. But it's such a loss that when they finally remade Super Mario Bros. 2 and Super Mario Bros. 3 for the Game Boy Advance, they didn't include a challenge mode. Now, I could understand that in a more freeform game like Super Mario Bros. 2 that doesn't have much coin collecting and doesn't even keep score. But how could you not include a challenge mode in Super Mario Bros. 3? I know there's way more levels in the game, but you couldn't just say, beat this score on this stage. And then some of the other options that were included in Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, like a head-to-head racing mode. If you and a friend had your Game Boy Colors and your cartridges of Mario Bros. Deluxe and your link cable, and you weren't playing Pokemon for some reason, you could connect Game Boys and race head-to-head in a bunch of different Mario stages. And failing that, if you didn't have a friend to race against, you could also play in a single-player racing mode. And if you, for some reason, love Super Mario Bros. But hate Super Mario, with the simple press of the select button, you can switch between Mario and Luigi in this game. No longer are you saddled with the brother you don't want. It's your choice when and where you deploy your plumbers. But what's most important is simply the fact that Super Mario Bros. Deluxe gives you a brand new appreciation for Super Mario Bros. Overall. Like, the original game was fantastic, but Super Mario Bros. Deluxe went back, updated a lot of the things that were now possible thanks to updated hardware. And they added things like a savable high score. They would add pictures and unlockable medals. And Super Mario Bros. Deluxe had medals! I forgot all about that. Basically, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe added achievements to Super Mario. You could unlock medals for jumping on your first Goomba and kicking your first turtle shell. So basically, Super Mario Bros. Deluxe adds pretty much more than a game's worth of extra content into the game, and it's all done so well. The definitive version of Super Mario Bros. So if you have a 3DS and you haven't tried Super Mario Bros. Deluxe, give it a try, because it's an absolutely addictive platforming game, especially once you unlock challenge mode and you start to learn all about how to go through a Mario level with some style, with some class. I guess it's time to drop the instrumentals on all y'alls before we finish the show. We opened today's show with brand new music by one of my favorite chiptune artists, Arcade Coma. This is from his In the Snow EP, and it was called I Haven't Left the House in Days, in reference to all the snow in the album. That was followed up by Bowser's Castle Theme SMW Remixed by Emerals, EMRLS, but only the E is capitalized, so it's kind of hard to pronounce on account of all the missing vowels. But that's pretty presumptuous of me, expecting people to have vowels in their name. After that, we heard from Mr. Sonic 699 with a nice little 8-bit styled remix of music from Mother 3, Backbeat Battle. Then we jumped to this current break, where we kicked things off with Heartbeat Nights, a new track from another of my favorite chiptune artists, Comptroller. This is new music from his new album, Blue Video Romance. Some of that gritty, glitched out stuff I love from Comptroller so much. Then we heard not one, not two, but 3 remixes, all by DJ Grumble in a little mix he calls the Nintendo Throwback Mix. which is via Grime Lab Inc. And right now we come to a close with classic track from Legend of Zelda, handheld of course, because they never get enough love, except on this show where they get way too much. This is Sword Search from Legend of the Boar Knight, a lengthy, wonderful composition of an album by Careless Juja. After the final track, you'll be hearing the closing theme to NES game The Blue Marlin. Unfortunately, the composer is unknown. So the fourth and final track that's going to take us out today is another one from Random. I held back on playing a lot of Random last season because, I mean, seriously, you're hunting out a podcast about video game hip-hop and you haven't heard of Random already? You're doing things really backwards, is all I'm saying. Go listen to a couple Random albums. You can start by listening to this Random track. This is Postcards from the Edge by Random from the album Eternalism, and I totally had to play this track, not only because this has some great lyrical content. Random lays it all out on what it's like to be a video game based musician, and it's over one of the most memorable themes from clearly my favorite game, Super Mario RPG, Beware the Forest's Mushrooms. And it all coalesces into this hot track that's going to close the show today. Thank you for listening. I've been your host, Gino Boost, and I will see you on the next episode.
77 new messages. Where do I start? F your movement, F your brand. Everything you say is bland. How you ever got a fan? I will never understand. They don't even like your rhymes. They don't understand your flows. They just like you for your beats, man. And everybody knows. And one day you'll be exposed. And your money's gonna go. And I'm gonna laugh at you. And then say I told you so. And your metaphors are weak. You will never be elite. With a gap between your teeth. And a terrible physique. And I heard you used to teach. Now you rapping over beats. That's a terrible decision in the least. P.S. One day you'll be surpassed by someone who's rather great. And by the way, I rap now. Let's collaborate. My mailbox. Always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go wow, wow. My mailbox. Always something interesting in my mailbox. Try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go wow, wow, wow. I always appreciate what I get. I get like recipes, cooking tips, you know, most of the time advice on what I'm doing wrong. F your movement, F your game, and your music cause it's lame. I just think that it's a shame how you underwent a change. I got your first LP, and I truly was amazed by the passion and the hunger and the talent you displayed. And I think I heard you say that album left you drained, and you had nothing to say. So you started playing games, and you ran out of the hood, thinking that you could escape. But the poverty and violence hasn't yet gone away. You should talk about your people and the obstacles they face. They will listen to you now. It's not like the old days. What's the deal with Mega Ran? Man, I liked your old name. Now I tell my friends you quit, cause I'm just so ashamed of what you become. Just a shell of yourself. You make music for the fans now instead of yourself. So when you decide to talk about some real things, I might buy your music, so hey, give me a ring. My mailbox. Always something interesting in my mailbox. I try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go wow, wow. My mailbox. Always something interesting in my mailbox. Try to get to everything in my mailbox. And then once in a while, there's a letter that makes me go wow, wow, wow. Last email I saw was like, why don't you play Lollapalooza, Mega Ran? And I was like, great idea, okay. But once in a while, somebody hits me with something real. F the music, F the brand. I don't call myself a fan of Random or Mega Ran. I don't think you understand. I just came across your song. I was drawn in by the beat. Then I slowly realized you were rapping about me. I'm the kid in Dream Master and the kid from Granny Smith, the homeless dude from Don't Let Me Die, who almost quit, never really had a friend, was rejected by my fam, joined so many cliques that I forgot who I am. I had a loaded gun and a bottle full of pills, cause I never thought that anyone understood how I feel. If it wasn't for the 8-bit melodies I heard, I might never give a listen and not relate to your words. Now your rhymes give me courage and the strength to overcome, cause I noticed other people like me and I'm not dumb. Now I write my thoughts down on my trusty pen and pad. I'm trying to do poetry, I don't wanna collab. Just wanna let you know that your music saves lives, and I know it to be fact, cause it surely saved mine. I'm not even sure that this will reach you, but next time you in my town,
Thanks for listening to another episode of the SUBCON podcast. Be sure to subscribe to us on iTunes. Check out GameMusicForAll.com for all the latest video game music news, and go to GameMusicForAll.com/SUBCON. See show notes for today's episode. You can also go to GameMusicForAll.com/support to find out ways to help support the podcast and the website. And be sure to follow me on Twitter @GinoBoost. Thanks for listening. You are now leaving SUBCON.